can't hear anything. I can't hear. I can't hear anything. It's 4 o'clock. This is the network service of Radio Nigeria. Good afternoon and welcome to the news. First, the headlines. Federal government sets up interministerial committee to address poor gas supply. Federal Ministry of Health commences cancer screening in the FCT. Nigeria Union of Pensioners proposes 100,000 naira minimum pension. And Pakistan shuts down internet over elections. The spotlight is on the strides of the FCT Emergency Management Agency under the Pioneer Director General, Dr. Abbas Idris. This news is streaming live on RadioNigeria.gov.ng. You can always follow us on Instagram and X, formerly Twitter, at Radio Nigeria HQ, and on Facebook at facebook.com/Radio Nigeria Network. I am Princess Aboraro. Now details of the news. The Minister of State Petroleum Resources, Gas Egberigwe Ego, and the Minister of Power, Chief Adebayo Adelabu, have set up an interministerial committee that would suggest ways of achieving steady and sustainable gas supply to the gas power generating plants to meet both the domestic and industrial needs of Nigerians. A statement by the Deputy Director, Press and Public Relations, Mr. Chris Ugwegbolam, says the interministerial committee was formed at the end of the meeting between the two ministries, which outlined the challenges causing the low supply of gas to the thermal power plants, to include decades of gas supply, gas legacy debt, vandalization of gas resources infrastructure in the Niger Delta region, and domestic pricing of gas in dollars. The Minister of Power, Chief Adebayo Adelabu, in a remark stated that the need for the two ministries to work collaboratively and solve the problem of low gas supply to the thermal power plants to achieve uninterrupted power supply in the country. Members of the committee were drawn from the Ministries of Petroleum Resources and Power, regulatory agencies, operators, and critical stakeholders in the gas and power sectors. The Federal High Court in Abuja has rejected the bid by the 5 loyalists of Governor Siminalayi Fubara of Rivers State to challenge the territorial jurisdiction of the court orally. The suspects had sought orally to challenge the territorial jurisdiction of the Abuja division of the Federal High Court on the ground that the alleged offences were committed in Rivers State. However, the oral application was turned down by the court, which insisted that being a court of record, all applications and motions must be brought before it in writing as required by law. Justice Mobolaji Olajuwon also turned down the request by the defendants to adjourn the case until their proposed applications to challenge the territorial jurisdiction of the court is determined one way or another. The trial was subsequently shifted to March 12 to enable the new lawyer study the charges and for the IGP to open his case against the defendants. All the defendants were ordered to be returned to Kuje prison in Abuja to continue their remand, having been denied bail due to the nature of charges against them and the flaws in their applications for bail. The chairman, National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, retired Brigadier General Uba Marwa, has tasked zonal commanders, state commanders, and area commanders of the agency to embark on rapid manhunt of drug barons to cut off illicit drug supply in the country. General Marwa gave the charge during a meeting with directors and all commanding officers of the agency at its national headquarters, Abuja. He said no effort must be spared to remove illicit drugs equation from the security challenges facing the country. The NDLEA chairman charged the commanders to always ensure that the corporate integrity of the agency is protected. The Ekiti State Commissioner for Health, Dr. Oyebanji Filani, says the 5 rescued pupils and 4 teachers of Apostolic Faith Group of Schools, Emure Ekiti, currently undergoing medical attention, are all in stable condition. Dr. Filani, who made this known to journalists at the premises of the hospital shortly after he visited the victims, noted that they would soon be discharged after the outcome of the clinical psychotherapy results they went through. He pointed out that the results would determine the next phase of their treatment. Also, the EXUT Chief Medical Director, Professor Kayode Olabanji, maintained that the pupils and their teachers had received all necessary medical attention because the needed specialists expected to attend to them were all available. 5 pupils and 4 teachers of Apostolic Faith Schools, Emure Ekiti, were abducted by some gunmen along Emure Iporo Ekiti Road on Monday, January 29, 2024. The school bus driver, Mr. Tayo Razaki, was however killed by the kidnappers. Half, give me half. Can't give me full one. Don't be there. I know if you can share them. Where is Sport Interactive?
That's where you stopped. Please tell this guy that I can't hear anything very well. Okay.
And then the door, the 2 doors, including that one. No. It's okay. It's okay. I'm not seeing your interactive.
Refresh.
Wait, how many times now? Okay. The Federal Ministry of Health and Social Welfare, in collaboration with the NNPC Foundation, has embarked on a rapid response intervention for free cancer screening tests to address the escalation of cancer in the country. At the inauguration of the exercise at the Federal Medical Center, Jabi Abuja, the Coordinating Minister of State for Health and Social Welfare, Dr. Tunji Alausa, represented by the Director of Hospital Services, Dr. Sila Jimo, noted that the exercise covered breast and cervical cancer tests for women as well as prostate cancer for men. This side. The doors are open. The doors are open. The Managing Director, NNPC Foundation, Mrs. Emanuela Arukwe, said the partnership, which was part of social responsibility of the foundation, became necessary to improve awareness and treatment of breast and cervical cancer, which are mostly common among women in Nigeria. Also, the Chief Medical Director of Federal Medical Center, Jabi, Professor Saad Ahmed, and the Director General of the National Institute for Cancer Research and Treatment, Dr. Usman Malami, said all the necessary equipment for the screening had been put in place for a successful exercise. The federal government has called on the Veterinary Council of Nigeria to come up with innovations that will transform the livestock subsector and enhance food security in the country. The president of the council, Mrs. Aishatu Baju, made this known at the induction ceremony of graduates of the Federal College of Animal Health and Production Technology, Ivon Plateau State. Mrs. Baju gave assurance that measures were being put in place to ensure that the highest level of veterinary service delivery is provided to align with the reform agenda of Mr. President. She added that the Council will continue to support and collaborate with major stakeholders to achieve its goals. The Registrar of the Veterinary Council of Nigeria, Dr. Oladotun Fadipe, tasked the graduates to see their induction as a call to improving service and livestock production. 162 graduates were inducted into the Veterinary Council of Nigeria. The federal government has taken steps to protect consumers and businesses from incurring losses. The Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment, Alhaji Nura Rimi, stated this at the quarterly meeting of inspectors of weight and measurements in Abuja. Alhaji Nura said to achieve this feat, government was enforcing legal operating procedures to ensure the safety of consumers and businesses. Lock the doors. Please lock the doors. What nonsense is that? Alhaji Nora also announced that plans were being intensified to upgrade the Department of Weight and Measurements to an agency due to its enormous role to growth of the economy. The permanent secretary who declared the event opened urged the inspectors to come up with actionable roadmap that would help them achieve their mandate. The director, Weight and Measurements Department, Mr. Olajide Bamidele, reaffirmed commitment to upholding professional standards that reflect on their mandate. The event, with the theme Reviewing the Legal Metrology Standard Operating Procedures for Sustainable Economic Growth, featured interactive sessions with state and zonal coordinators of the Weight and Measurement Department of the Ministry nationwide. And now to some sports stories. We will be having an interactive session with Ernest. The subway is rich, live here in the studio. Hello. Good afternoon. I'm actually very excited. Yesterday was tough. A lot of things happened. Tension was in the air. But here we are today celebrating the victory at the match yesterday. What was it for you?
Look, I don't get tense about such things again. I come to understand that those are just football games. It comes and goes. You could see the Senegalese, they were champions 2 years ago, celebrating, happy, and then you saw them crying just a few months later. So look, the victory and the losses are only temporary. They're just for a moment. But it's okay that it brings joy to Nigerians. That's what the Super Eagles do. So I'm happy, when you see what makes Nigerians happy. So in that sense, it made me happy.
Talking about Nigerians being happy, of course, Nigerians are still basking in the euphoria of yesterday's victory over South Africa, which saw the Super Eagles book a place in the final against host Cote d'Ivoire at the ongoing Africa Cup of Nations. The voice you just heard is the voice of the sports analyst Ernest Ostogbe, and is here to discuss matters relating to the victory. How significant is this victory, given that Nigeria has been stuck in the semi-final stage of the competition on several occasions? Do you think we'll get through?
No, not necessarily. I don't think you can say Nigeria has been stuck in the semi-finals. Nigeria has played a lot of semi-finals, I agree, but they've also skipped through to the final on several occasions, maybe not winning the trophy. There are on 3 occasions I remember, of course, they lost to Cameroon and a couple of others. And then, of course, they won a few, maybe 3. But of course, Nigeria became like a bronze medal champion in Africa Cup of Nations for so many years. So I can understand why people could say they are stuck in the semi-final. But the victory in itself, for me, I think I want to commend the Bafana Bafana of South Africa. I never expected them to take the Super Eagles to extra time and then penalties. So for them to do that means that their football has grown. And I think they've taken the challenge posed by the Super Eagles of Nigeria and developed their game. So while I commend the Super Eagles, I still commend the South Africans for giving them a good fight. But at the end of the day, I was joyful that the Eagles found a way to edge the match and get the victory and get into the final.
It was definitely a good fight. Now we are set to face Cote d'Ivoire in the final after beating them in the group stage. Are you hopeful that we can repeat that victory on Sunday? You think we'll bring the cup home?
Yeah, I think so. I believe so. If you look at this championship, for instance, I think Nigeria has the edge over them in terms of man for man. Notwithstanding that they are hosting, we've beaten them, of course, in the presence of their people in the round robin. It's not going to be the same kind of game because they've grown now, they've become better. But I believe that Nigeria will get the victory at the end of the 90 minutes, possibly.
The stakes are very high, obviously, at this stage. How can the Super Eagles surmount the challenge of the 12th player, like the home fans putting some pressure on them?
Well, see, in these days, I remember many years ago where referees used to decide games. They become the 13th player, so to speak, if you remove the fans. Referees, for now, they can make errors, but there was a time where officials were susceptible to being corrupt and things like that. These days, with CAF, FIFA being very heavy on it, and of course ensuring that if you're corrupt, you don't move ahead. For example, Nigerian referees are not there. They are nowhere near the African Cup of Nations. Why? They didn't meet the standards. So it's at the very highest level. For you to move from the African Cup of Nations to FIFA graded championships, you must do well at AFCON. You could even be invited to the Asian championships and all of that. So doing well here. So one, that removes the issue of refereeing. So it's going to be fair for everyone. Now, hosting doesn't necessarily give you the win. I remember in 2000, I was in the stadium in Surulere when the Cameroonians came to Nigeria here and defeated the Super Eagles at the National Stadium in Surulere, Lagos, via penalties. And our own leaders had to hand over the cup to them. And if you remember, I think it's in 2019, the Super Falcons went to Cameroon and defeated the Lionesses right in front of Paul Biya, who had to have the dishonor of handing over the trophy to another country. So those things have been neutralized in terms of hosting and winning and all of that. So it's going to be a neutral game. So if the Eagles can put pressure on the Ivorians, what is going to happen is you're going to be surprised that rather than cheering, the 13 players, you call it, it's going to be jittery because they are scared, they are worried, they want their team to win. And that tension is going to hold them in the stands and transfer to the players. And they may freeze and not be able to play. And if you hit them 1 goal, 2 goals, they may give up. Like if you watch their game against in the group stages, after they scored 2-0 against them, they gave up, and that's how that team beat them by 4 goals to nothing. So I believe that if the Super Eagles put pressure on them from the beginning, it's sure to affect the stands, and then the Eagles can get the victory.
We hope so. Thank you very much for stopping by, Ernest Silva. This is home for you. Welcome back home.
Well, you can say that again. I mean, the little name I have in Nigeria was made from these studios here, so I can agree with you on that.
Good to see you again.
Thank you so much.
All right, for sports analyst Ernest Silva on the ongoing AFCON and Nigeria's performance, we wish our boys victory. I can't wait to celebrate on Sunday. Just stay with us. There's more sports stories coming. So, good to see you again.
Not too serious for news. Relax, it's just Come on there. Come on there.
Maize is too much. The national president of Nigeria Union of Pensioners, Comrade Godwin Abumisi, has proposed 100,000 naira as national minimum pension to the National Minimum Wage Review Committee to address the needs of senior citizens. He stated this at a press conference in Abuja. Comrade Abumisi said the decision was necessitated by the economic hardship faced by pensioners in the country. Comrade Abumisi explained that the reports obtained from pensioners in some states show that they receive less than 4,000 naira monthly as pension. Well, Radio Nigeria's pioneering Director of Information Communication Technology Directorate, Gidado Ibrahim, has retired from service after meritorious years of service. Members of the ICT Directorate and staff of the corporation held a send-forth party in his honor at Radio House Abuja. Among the legacies attributed to his term as Director ICT of Africa's largest radio network was his contribution in transforming the corporation to full digitization in its broadcast and internal operation. Speaking on behalf of the Director General of the Corporation, Dr. Mohamed Bulama, at the retirement party, the Director of Finance and Accounts, Musa Bako, said the corporation was moved to celebrate the director for his outstanding contributions. The Director of Administration, Mrs. Bukola Adedeji, noted that his contribution to the record keeping of the corporation, saying that he laid a good foundation for his successor to build on. Malam Gidado Ibrahim, who was the youngest director in Radio Nigeria, was in a joyous mood as he bowed out of service and appreciated the harmonious working relationship he enjoyed with staff of the corporation and asked that the successes recorded during his term be sustained. Malam Gidado Ibrahim is bowing out of service after spending 8 years as the Director of Information Communication Technology of Radio Nigeria. And Pakistan has suspended mobile calls and data services as millions vote in a new government. An Interior Ministry spokesperson said the measure was warranted, citing recent incidents of terror in the country. The election comes almost 2 years since the previous Prime Minister, cricketer turned politician Imran Khan, was ousted in a no-confidence vote, but three Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif is now on the ballot. The spotlight is on the strikes of the FCT Emergency Management Agency under the Pioneer Director General Dr. Abbas Idris, which is written by Ibrahim Alfa Ahmed, a public affairs analyst. That spotlight on the strides of the FCT Emergency Management Agency under the Pioneer Director General Dr. Abbas Idris was written by Ibrahim Alfa Ahmed and read by Joy Marker. A quick look at the weather for this afternoon. Abuja, Ikeja, Maiduguri, and Calabar are experiencing hazy weather conditions ranging from 30 to 35 degrees Celsius, while Lokoja, Benin, Kebbi, and Uyo are having intermittent clouds weather condition ranging from 30 to 33 degrees Celsius. Enugu, Osogbo, Jalingo, and Kaduna are having an intermittent hazy weather condition ranging from 32 to 30 degrees Celsius. And now to end the news, here is a quick look at our major stories. The federal government has set up an interministerial committee to address poor gas supply in the country. The Federal Ministry of Health and Social Welfare has embarked on free cancer screening in the Federal Capital Territory. The Nigerian Union of Pensioners has proposed 100,000 naira minimum pension to address the need of senior citizens. We also reported that Pakistan had suspended mobile calls and data services over the conduct of its general elections. That's the news is edited by Biodun Dari and the production team. Thank you so much for listening. I'm Princess Aboraro. Good afternoon to you. Which program is that? With all this plenty talk,
next program.
nobody will say what the next program is. When I don't think they're going to tell me the next program, I'm a magician. They wanted to tell me you should have told me. The distraction from that place is too much.
Thanks. Thank you.
This guy, I don't know. This lady.
Which of them?
Now, if you are bringing a guest.